Hi, and welcome to my channel where I make dishes inspired by some of my favorite video game characters. Today's dish is inspired by Link from the Legend of Zelda series. Link is obviously one of the most iconic characters in the world and is up on the top of the list for so many people. The series has been a part of so many people's lives for almost 40 years, which is insane. Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf have gone through so many different renditions and timelines in all of the games. There's the classic 8-bit retro versions, there's the cutesy Wind Waker version, there's the dark Twilight Princess version, and the most recent versions from the Breath of the Wild. No matter which game and version is your favorite, you can't deny that they all have their own charm. It's crazy that a pretty much silent character can have such an impact on not only gamers, but society as a whole. It's nice to have a blank slate character that you can play as so you can really dive deep into the game itself, and the experience is definitely sweetened by all of the amazing supporting characters you meet in Zelda games. There truly is a Legend of Zelda game and Link version for every kind of person, from old to young, and it's cool to see that the series isn't afraid to change and evolve as time goes on. It was a little tricky pinning down a single dish for Link since he has so many games and iterations. One thing that I think of when I think of food in Link is all of the cuckoos that Link can disturb in most of the games, so I wanted to do something with chickens or eggs. Another aspect of Legend of Zelda games is the beautiful locations and landscapes you get to see with a variety of colorful plants, enemies, and landmarks. I often see all of the beautiful sprawling valleys and trees when I think of the Legend of Zelda, so I wanted to make something that drew inspiration from nature's bounties. With these things in mind, I found myself drawn towards making a Hylian quiche to utilize not only eggs, but a lot of different amazing and beautiful ingredients to capture just a little bit of some of the boons Link encounters in his journeys. To make your own Hylian quiche, you'll need 1 refrigerated pie crust or puff pastry sheet, unsalted butter, a yellow onion, a red bell pepper, garlic, sun-dried tomatoes, 4 large eggs, half and half, sour cream, salt, black pepper, nutmeg, frozen chopped spinach, shredded sharp cheddar cheese, and shredded Parmesan cheese. Since it will take a little bit for your frozen spinach to thaw, go ahead and remove this from your freezer about an hour or 2 before you get started. If not, you can still rinse the bag with cool water to speed up the thawing process. The first step on our quest is to preheat our oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'll place a baking sheet onto the center rack. This baking sheet will be used as a sort of pizza stone to help warm the pastry from the bottom to avoid a soggy bottom in the quiche later. If you have baking beans or rice, you can also blind bake your crust for about 15 minutes in the oven and skip this baking sheet step altogether. Regardless, you'll grab a 9-inch pie plate and place your pie crust or puff pastry inside. Again, you can use either, it's more based on your preference. Feel free to crimp or fold the edges of the pastry as desired and poke a few holes in the crust with a fork. Then place back into the fridge to chill until later. Also, a word of caution, we'll be placing the pie plate into the oven shortly after removing it from the fridge. My pie plate is Pyrex and the oven isn't set at too high of a temperature, so I've never had a problem with it cracking or breaking in the oven, but there is always a risk of glass breaking in your oven if you shock it too much by going from too cold to too hot too quickly. As our crust chills, we'll prepare the majority of our ingredients for the quiche. Peel and mince a yellow onion, then add to a medium bowl. We'll also wash and mince a red bell pepper and add this to the bowl with the onions. Next, we'll mince at least 4 garlic cloves and add to a small bowl, and then we'll drain and roughly chop about a half cup of sun-dried tomatoes and throw it in with the garlic. I used pre-shredded cheese, but if you have blocks of cheese, now's a good time to grate them for later. With the prep out of the way, we'll head over to the stovetop. We'll heat a large skillet on medium heat and add in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Once the butter melts, we'll toss in our minced onion and bell pepper and season with some salt and pepper to taste. We'll saute and cook, stirring occasionally, for about 10 minutes until you see that the onions and peppers are softer and slightly browned. We can then add in the minced garlic and sun-dried tomatoes. We'll continue cooking and stirring often until the skillet is nice and fragrant, for about 2 minutes, and then we'll remove the pan from the heat. We'll Nintendo switch gears over to the egg mixture for the quiche. Grab a large bowl and add in 4 large eggs. 1 1/4 cup of half and half, a half cup of sour cream, 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and a pinch of nutmeg. Whisk this mixture until smooth and well combined. We're ready to add in the spinach. It should be thawed, but again, if it's not, you can rinse with cool water. You'll need about 10 ounces of the spinach, and you'll drain and squeeze out as much of the moisture as you can. Once your spinach is ready, add it into the egg mixture bowl, as well as 1 cup of cheddar cheese, a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, and your cooked onion mixture from earlier. Mix again until everything in the bowl is well incorporated, and then grab your pie plate from the fridge. Or of course, if you blind baked your crust, grab it from your counter. Pour your quiche mixture into the pie plate and then place in the oven on top of the preheated baking sheet. You'll bake the quiche for around 40 to 50 minutes until it's cooked through. The quiche should be slightly puffed up, just set in the center, and have a golden brown crust on the outside pastry when it's done. Once cooked through, you'll remove the quiche from the oven and cool on a wire rack before serving and enjoying. This definitely isn't dubious food. This quiche is so homey, warm, and flavorful, and feels so nutritious and varied in flavor. There's so much freshness from all of the ingredients melding together, and everything is so colorful and inviting. There's a variety of not only flavors, but textures, as you get some crunch, some softness, and everything in between. While this dish takes a little bit of time to prep and cook in the oven, it's generally a pretty easy process, almost as easy it is for Link to literally just throw ingredients into a big pot, bounce around on beat, and turn into a full-fledged recipe. There's also lots of ways to customize a quiche by adding different vegetables and meats inside, so there's endless possibilities to enjoy. As just mentioned, I could definitely see Link tossing a bunch of amazing ingredients from his journeys into his cooking pot and getting excited to see them come out afterwards. He of course wouldn't say anything since he's a pretty silent guy, but his look of pride and joy would be evident in his smile and stance. He'd love the balance this dish would provide him with a good mix of protein and carbs to keep him energized and ready to take on any moblins or choo-choos. If he was lucky enough to be traveling with another friend, he would love to share, and the guests would be in awe. Sure, Link has fought off Ganondorf in so many timelines, but that doesn't hold a candle to how he had to get all these eggs away from violent and angry cuckoos. The recipe card is in the video description if you'd like a more quick and concise version to give it a try. Like if you want a bite, subscribe for more geeky treats, and comment what foods Link reminds you of. Thanks for following along.